Hey y'all, it's a new episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow. We have tag team action, people questioning alliances, and a new Wow World Champion who couldn't even celebrate really, but she is definitely still the Wow World Champion. It is a new day up in here. It is Steph and Cat Talk Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it up.
Hey y'all! Happy Monday and welcome to Steph and Cat Talk Wow. Of course, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. We are here as the amazing after show talking about the hottest all women's wrestling show on television, which is Wow Superheroes. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, this fabulous platform, as well as contributor. This is our first time on camera since this has happened. Us together really. Contributor of Daily DDT and color commentator for the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. But of course, I am not alone. Right next to me is the amazing Katrina Blake, of course, host and creator of In Cat We Trust, amazing writer herself, visionary of women of color in wrestling with her panels and all of the above, and amazing super mom. How are you, Katrina?
I am well. Always give such amazing intros. I am well tired. It was a weekend. A lot of wrestling this weekend as well. A lot of wrestling, may I add. But I am well. I am happy to be here. As you said before the intros, we have a new champion. It's a new dawn in WoW. It's a new queen in charge. I feel like, when we get there, it's going to be a lot of gushing. But I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Like, this has just been an amazing weekend, period. Like, between NXT's No Mercy, between WoW being also on the same day, before No Mercy for some, or at least on my end. And then you have AEW's Wrestle Dream. There's just been a lot of wrestling going on. And it tends to happen quite a lot. It either happens once or twice a month where an episode of WoW will come on in the midst of a wrestling sandwich of so much amazing wrestling going on. And big ups to all the shows and all the wrestlers who did an amazing job, especially all the women's wrestlers who did an amazing job. Of course, Chris
Yep.
Statlander retaining her TBS championship. And then, of course, against Julia Hart, who's, of course, growing in her own way. And then, of course, you have Becky Lynch, of course, retaining the NXT women's title against Tiffany Stratton, who did an amazing job in that Extreme Rules match. And just so much amazing wrestling, throughout the whole weekend. Had other debuts and stuff, Adam, hello. Just a lot of amazing things happening, but I'm still calling him Edge. I don't care. Um like
Same.
so many amazing things happened this weekend, but in the midst of that, here again, you have WoW episode in their second season. Katrina, how did you feel about this episode as a whole before we really get into the nitty-gritty of it?
It was a great episode. We went into the season more excited just because we wanted to see what else we were gonna get from this new iteration of WoW. Again, we had a new debut last week. We got to see a person we've been waiting to see back in action this week. And it was really good to see just because we missed her, so
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was pretty solid. And again, I was, I didn't know how we were going to feel with this triple threat match happening later on in the night. Again, it wound up working out really well for somebody in particular, but it was a really good episode overall.
Yeah, it really was. Like, it was really funny. It was sort of like this episode was sort of like a bookend Um, I look and we're switched back. It was sort of like a bookend when you think about how it started and how it ended. And yeah, it was really cool in the sense that we did get to see someone back that we had been asking about and wondering about in terms of her injury and stuff like that. But of course, we have to start from the very beginning. David McClain was in the ring to start this episode off. And of course, we send love and positivity to him because that's the OG, okay? So he found it wow. So we got to give him his flowers for, giving us this fabulous show and promotion to begin with. And he is standing in the ring with a table and three chairs. And of course, a contract. He is standing there with a contract for these ladies to sign on the dotted line, which is what the episode was called. And of course, you had Tormenta come in with Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney. You had Princess Aussie coming in, on a mission. She's ready to go, right? Because she was the one who was gunning for the rematch in the first place. And then you had Penelope Pink come on with the fabulous Lana Star, as the reigning champion, just basically looking over it, throughout the entire time. Like she was just like, why am I even out here? This is really stupid. This is really pointless, blah, blah, blah. That's what she was giving. But in the end, though, you had Sophia Lopez and Lana Star sort of arguing back and forth as to why, Tormenta even had to participate in a triple threat match because apparently that's not what they agreed on. So because that wasn't what they agreed on, Lana was like, look, it doesn't matter either way. We'll sign the contract because regardless, Penelope is going to win. So she, of course, is super confident in her client, Penelope Pink, if not delusional to a degree. And of course, you had Tormenta, being the presence that she is in terms of international wrestling, and Sophia sort of, jockeying for her. But the thing that I find interesting about this was the fact that Princess Aussie was absolutely contained and chill the entire time. She did not, lose her cool. She did not get angry at everything that everybody was saying, trying to undercut her and her, opportunity to at the title again. Like it was still really chill on her end. So that's how you knew she really was focused. So they all signed the contract, and here again, Penelope looked over it, but she signed it anyway. And it was made official that in the main event of this episode, it was going to be the triple threat match for the WoW World Championship. And yeah, that's how that segment ended. So, Kat, how did you feel about this segment with this contract signing? How did you feel seeing something like this, on WoW? We haven't really seen anything like this.
You think of all like other promotions when they have like it's a really big type of situation that they have contract signings, and not not we don't want to put too much negativity on the Fab Four, but we know like, a lot of that was a lot of shenanigans with how they dealt with title matches, how they dealt with interference and stuff. I felt like having it in this way, knowing what happened with Princess Aussie and Penelope the last time, there was some interference, but then you're kind of throwing a third person. And a part of me, and I'm gonna, maybe I'm wrong, but part of me want to feel like this partially happened because of Sophia Lopez. She's a lawyer at the end of the day. So you make sure your client, get the best shot, the best fairness in a match like this. Considering that Princess Aussie was able to kind of get a rematch kind of quickly in, after losing already. So technically she lost, and she was not in this match as well. And so I feel like, again, I could totally be wrong, but the lawyer part that I wanted to do law at some point, and if this was somebody that I would do exactly this, which is to make sure we have a correct contract signing, make sure there's no shenanigans, we sign the dotted line, and we get to it. And so I think it was necessary in light of what we know for the Fab Four. But I do like that although the personalities we kind of saw during it, so you have Penelope, he's just like, she's better than all of this. She doesn't need to really be here. Why is she here? Like, this is an inconvenience. And then you had Tormenta just like, well, the lawyer, Sophia Lopez, is the one kind of looking everything over. And then you have Princess Aussie, who was just there to let it be known that she had a job to do. And I think that was a very nice thing, like just nice kind of see that play out even before the match, just how three very different personalities were even doing for the contract signing. And so I made me more excited to see what we're going to get later on in the night. And again, while it did wind up working out, for one of them, as we will get to, I thought I'm hoping we get more of these type of situations later on. Maybe that would have worked if we got that for the tag tournament. Like, maybe it would have been better to do something like that during the tournament before all this stuff happened before the Tongas won it. And so hopefully we get more of that, or we get if it allows, the situation allows. It's only the 2 titles as of right now. Maybe we get another title later on. Throwing it out there. Wow. For some of the other ladies up there, maybe a different secondary title or something, then we can see that again. But I thought it was a really good segment to kind of lead into what will be the main event.
Yeah, it was a really good segment because, of course, historically as wrestling fans, we're used to seeing, the contract signings take place, and they could either end in a whole lot of melee, or they can just end with everyone just sort of staring at each other like, yeah, like I'm looking at you and I'm gunning for you right now and I'm making this official. But the thing that I found the most intriguing about this was another thing that I found the most intriguing about it was the fact that Sophia, was really making Lana be a woman of her word. And here lately, or at least in the first season that we were watching last year, a lot of Lana's dealings weren't necessarily the most honest and weren't necessarily like the cleanest. So I find it funny that Sophia was definitely like holding Lana accountable a lot of the time. But of course, Lana is just like, yeah, whatever, let's just move past this, because either way, Penelope's going to win. And it still makes me feel like there's something more to their unholy alliance that they're not letting on. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And of course, for those who are watching us on every live platform that we have via the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust, please, well, first of all, thank you for watching. And of course, comment on any of the parts of WoW this episode that you really, really liked or loved, or did not necessarily like that much. But either way, go crazy in the comments and let us know how you're feeling about things you might wind up on the screen. So yeah, that was a really good segment. And here again, we love more of the narrative building that they're doing on WoW. So this led into their recap that they did of what the Beast had to say when she came back. When she came back last week, saying that she's still the baddest and she's still the toughest and she's ready to get back into action. So this led into her and her match against Chainsaw, which was the first match that we saw on that episode. This was the Beast's first match back since her injury that she sustained from that mystery assailant. And of course, since this is a new season, we saw lots of new stuff going on because Chainsaw came out with her little sister, Angelica Dante, who was dressed in a newer outfit. Now, of course, when we first saw her in Los Angeles Comic-Con last year, she was sort of, getting her little Red Riding Hood on with like the cloak and everything, but it looks like now she's coming out here with the darker makeup, but also with a red dress, and it was just really cute. And I was just like, okay, like this is something cool to see, when you're coming into the Halloween season, and how a lot of people dress either really scary or very sexy as well. So I just thought that was really cool to see that from Angelica Dante, and just seeing how they're really upping the ante when it comes to the wardrobe, for some of these girls, and the gear as well. But this match was pretty hard hitting and fantastic because this was another scenario where someone actually matched up with Chainsaw in terms of strength and power. It was very parallel between both of these women. Now, the last time we saw Chainsaw in a situation like this, it was like a tag team match, I believe, where she had a partner, but then she was battling against the Tonga twins. And the Tonga twins, of course, Chaos and Kona, the tag team champions, showed that they were not afraid of her and that they were going to stand toe to toe with her as well. And that's definitely what the Beast did. She hopped up in the ring and jumped over the top rope into the ring on that good leg. And I was just like, okay, ma'am, let's go. And she looked so beautiful and so scary at the same time. Her and the Chainsaw and the Beast traded blows back and forth, smacking each other and chopping each other in the chest. Like, it was just a show of power. And even, of course, Chainsaw was still able to sort of get the upper hand on her by tripping her up and pushing her over. She even locked her into a full Nelson, but the Beast utilized her strength to break out of it. Like, it was just really cool. And then ultimately, the Beast wound up winning after clotheslining Chainsaw, and then beating her with a spear. So yeah, the Beast hit a spear onto Chainsaw and won the match. And after she won, she wound up cutting a promo saying, like, gunning straight for the person who attacked her from behind. She was like, "This is a message to the coward who attacked me from behind. I have ears and eyes all over this place. I've been listening in the locker room, and I'm gonna find you. And when I find you, it's not gonna be pretty." She said, "You'll regret the day that you tried to take down the Beast." And Miss Ma'am is on a mission, okay? And I am really here for it. I'm ready for her revenge tour. Like, I am really here for it. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match between the Beast and Chainsaw, and how do you feel about her revenge?
It was really nice to see her back. We've been saying we've missed her after she like had to give the belt up because she was injured, and then she was on her way back, and whoever it was that attacked her kind of delayed us getting some Beast action. And so it was really good to see her in, and I think it was actually cool to kind of see her go against Chainsaw, because Chainsaw, when you think of, you know, Siren, and you think of Holodead. And while I think Siren's fantastic and we gushed about Holodead last week, Chainsaw was definitely the muscle. And so to have somebody, I feel like that was the perfect opponent for the Beast, who's already kind of a little bit frustrated, kind of got knocked out a little bit longer than it should have been. Kind of take it out. And while Chainsaw, you mentioned it being very hard hitting, it definitely was. But I think that was the perfect person for that. Chainsaw, you think of half the matches Chainsaw had in the last season, she was just throwing people around the ring like it was nothing. And while her sister Angelina, who looked great, may I add, and I did like Chainsaw's bottom red highlights as well. I was like, okay, y'all get it together to this season. But she like threw people around the ring and manhandled them, or woman handle them, whatever way you want to work this. And so to have somebody like the Beast who can kind of challenge her off strength too, I think that's important to see. But I also I feel like it's a weird thing, because I know she did mention when she came back, when she kind of beat up Penelope, and it was like, oh, she was coming. But then as we got to this, like the last match of the night, and you're like, well, does she still want? Like, I'm kind of questioning, is her sole purpose right now is let's go after the person who attacked me and then focus on the title, or is she gonna multitask as us moms have to do on a regular basis? She got to multitask and do multiple things at the same time. Is it one of those situations where she's going to multitask this? I'm going to find who did it, I'm getting my revenge, but I'm still get that title back. And then also knowing now who's the new champion, is Princess Aussie in trouble? Like Penelope just got it all in because she was the champion, and Beast, like last time she was here before letting go, she was champion. And so it's like Penelope just got all of that. Unfortunately, she was just the casualty in that situation when she came back. And so it's like, does that now mean Princess Aussie's going to be in trouble? Does that mean she's going to go on a chair and the whole locker room is going to be in trouble till she finds out who did what they did? And I feel like this was a warning. And so great match, great way to open this. And I'm just ready to see Beast tear it up. I feel like she really is. Like, I'm ready to see what she's going to do. I feel like as somebody who be petty, sometimes I'm like, listen, if you do this to me, I can't necessarily say I wouldn't feel exactly the same way, if not worse. So I'm here for it. I can't wait to see how this is gonna play out on the next few weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it either because, of course, in the first episode, we saw the Beast sort of watching the Fab Four and looking at Penelope Pink with the title that she never lost. And it's just like, you do pose a valid point. Like, is the Beast's mind solely on revenge, or is it on revenge and getting the title back? Because if so, of course, when you are the champion, you have a target on your back. So it's almost like Princess Aussie, in her quest to be the champion, she has sort of given herself, like, not just a target on her back, but she sort of inherited the issues that come with the idea that she's now holding the title that the Beast never lost. And that is pretty scary when you think about it. But then at the same time, I feel that maybe the Beast seems to be more methodical in the idea that she wants to do one at a time. and get her revenge first and then refocus on the title. And I'm definitely here for it because we have been talking about for months, yo, like who did this? Like, why did they do this? Why would they be so mean, to try to just and vicious to take her out like that, behind her back? Like, who did this? And I really am happy that she is on this journey to figure out, who did this to her, because quite frankly, whoever did it, they're going to get their clock clean. And I can't wait to see that take place. But either way, the Beast won this match in a really dominant fashion. But either way, Chainsaw also did a relatively good job as well. But they matched up, they were very evenly matched in this match. So it was really good. So after the promo, we had a second match, which was between G.I. Jane and Tiki Chamorro. And of course, G.I. Jane came out to the ring with Samantha Smart. And on social media, Tiki Chamorro was calling this match, I guess you could say like Team Army, or just like a battle of the Army women, because of course Tiki and G.I. Jane have both served in the United States Army, and we thank them for their service. And so it was a battle to see which one is the toughest, or which one, could last, outlast each other. And of course, G.I. Jane came out looking as beautiful as she always looks, with her statuesque um stance and her beautiful skin and all of the above. Like, we love the Black Girl Magic here. And then you have Tiki Chamorro coming out with her new gear, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so cute. Like, I just loved it. It was almost like she was wearing like a giant sparkly leaf. Like, it was just really pretty. And then you had Samantha Smart come out with a sparkly suit. And I was like, okay, suit. Because normally she would come out like wearing like a skirt, with sort of like a crop top sort of thing with glasses. But she came out with her glasses on. But Miss Ma'am had on a white sparkly suit. And I was just like, yes, ma'am. Y'all better do this fashion up. I loved it. So, outside of the fashion, no, this match was really good. Now, the match started with a lock up, and then, of course, G.I. Jane utilized her giant strength, to sort of push Tiki to the other side of the ring. And that's where I got kind of worried. I was like, yo, she just really just like yeeted her to the other side of the ring. But Tiki bounced back with an arm drag and a head scissors takedown. G.I. Jane proceeded to stomp on Tiki, of course, trying to choke her out with her foot in the middle of in the turnbuckles. And then she kept stomping on her and kicking on her and everything, and talking smack to her. That's something that G.I. Jane is also becoming more known for, is the fact that she loves to talk smack to her opponents while she's beating up on them. And she just gets better and better at utilizing all of her long limbs in the ring. Like, she is just really good at that. G.I. Jane also hit a leg drop into a chokehold onto Tiki Chamorro. And I was just like, wow, that is just really innovative. And I really like that. But Tiki fought back with a clothesline and a headbutt because, of course, she has that rugby background and she does not mind getting rough and tumble with her opponents. Then G.I. Jane hit Tiki with a back suplex and then lifted Tiki and placed her on the top rope. But Tiki jumped off and on top of G.I. Jane and tried to set her up for a crucifix, but then, maneuvered it into a pin and got the 1, 2, 3. And Tiki Chamorro wound up winning the match. And yes, even right there you see G.I. Jane being, you know, arrogant by covering her and hitting like her push-ups and everything. And I'm just like, girl, don't do push-ups on my chest. But it wound up biting her in the butt because Tiki wound up winning the match, much to the surprise of everyone. And then you even had Samantha Smart choking her out with that yardstick that she's notorious for. Like, girl, stop. But either way, it still didn't work because Tiki won. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this upset win from Tiki Chamorro? And where do you think this places her in WoW?
I don't know how to call it an upset. It's kind of nice to see this. She had some wins last season, but a lot of the times I felt like she was the one of the superheroes that they would go after because she was nice and she was sweet and she was kind, and so they messed with her. And sometimes she did it on her own, but sometimes she needed the help of her sisters on there. And so her sisters in friendship, but sisters none the same. The Polynesian sisters helping her out there. And it was really nice to see, even though as cocky as G.I. was being, and she was cocky. And again, we love you, G.I. Jane, always Black Girl Magic for us. but you was doing a lot of shenanigans. You really was. You was doing shenanigans. You was being extremely cocky, extremely egotistical. Like, personally, if somebody does push-ups over me, I'm not gonna be happy about somebody like, let me just flex over you. That is so disrespectful. That's a level of disrespect that's not even necessary. And so, for Tiki to kind of still rally, even with her doing all that and get the win, I think that's speaking on her growth from season 1. I love that she had a new costume. I know she posted it on social media. I was like, yes, get your new costume in, get it all, work it. I like that. And even though Samantha was doing shenanigans, I did like the suit. Now, while I'm a jumpsuit kind of girl, I don't really wear pantsuits. I can always appreciate good pantsuit. It made me think of Stephanie McMahon. Like, sometimes she wore a pantsuit, she just had a fantastic. You're like, okay, like it was those vibes, like boss type vibe, boss lady vibes. And so she looked great, even though she was doing the shenanigans. But for Tiki, I thought this was a good win for her. And I hope, she can use this as momentum to kind of keep going forward. Whatever match she has in the next week or the next 2 weeks or the next 3 weeks, that she can use that momentum to kind of keep on the upswing because, we love her, but unfortunately, I do think a lot of times they messed with her because she was so nice and sweet. And I know how that goes. And, she's not one of the tinier women on the roster. You think of some of the other ones, like a Chainsaw, a Beast, or like Wrecking Ball, who they're kind of like dominant size wise. She's a little more on the tinier side. Even when you think of Rika, and then you thought of the Tagas, she's even out of the four, she's still one of the tinier ones on that group. And so I'm hoping she can use this momentum to kind of keep going forward and keep getting those wins. But it's so nice. I feel like she's a little bit more confident too. I was like, yes, I like this. I'm hoping she can use that and maybe not be mean, but sometimes you can be sweet and also get just a little bit. Sometimes you gotta put a little bit of attitude with it, or put a little bit of succeeding a little bit, as we said, out of spite, just a little. Like, you can be nice, but sometimes you just need that little extra oomph to kind of get you going and making sure people don't try to walk all over you. And I think that's what she did. Like I said, I love that she seems like she's willing to get a little bit more dirty. The headbutt was, I usually don't see faces do that too much. That's usually for me a heel type tactic. But in this regard, using what you got for somebody who's trying to overpower you, I think that was very smart on her end. And I truly hope that this is keeping her on the upswing going forward.
Absolutely. And I do appreciate that Tiki is getting a little bit tougher in her approach because it's like you said, because she's such a nice girl and because she's so sweet, a lot of people last season were kind of just looking over her and making it seem like, oh, well, we don't need to take you seriously because you're little and because you're, so sweet. That means we can run all over you or just treat you any kind of way. And hopefully this season we'll see more of an aggressive side come out of her because something that a lot of people just don't take into account is that you can be nice as all get out and you can laugh and you can smile, but you can also mean business too. And I find that I hope that Tiki Chamorro can truly like lock in this season and mean more business, than usual, and not just, always utilize the help of the Tonga twins, and the Island Dynasty. Because of course it is good to have, your group of friends who can have your back and everything. But it also helps for you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And Tiki definitely has shown that she can do that. And I can't wait to see more of what she has to offer there. But when it comes to G.I. Jane, I just feel like she just has the full package. And I feel like I talk about this ad nauseum every time I see her. I just feel like there's just so much more to her that could really be unlocked when it comes to her abilities. She's tall, she's beautiful, she's tough. She was a drill sergeant, on top of all those things. And she's had to, overcome so much to be who she is. A part of me wonders, if she would ever, not be under the alliance of Samantha Smart and just, stand on her own 2 feet as well and rise to the occasion. Like, a part of me just really wonders, would that ever happen? But, we just gotta, wait and see for that. But either way, Tika Chamorro came out with the win, and hopefully we'll see more of what she has to offer with her toughness, going forward. Now, after this match, we After this match, we had an announcement of a couple of matches that are coming forth for the tag team division. This coming weekend, we have a rematch for the WoW Tag Team Championships between the Tonga Twins, who we were just talking about, and Miami Sweet Heat, the Carlson sisters. This blew my mind because, number one, just last week we were talking about how it might be necessary for Miami Sweet Heat to go to the back of the line before they can get another opportunity. And now here they are getting an opportunity and not having to wait in the back of the line. And I just think that's very interesting how that happened because, of course, they were talking a whole lot of smack and they did attack the Tonga twins last week. So I'm more than sure that Chaos and Kona are gunning for wanting to fight them again, just to teach them a lesson and retain their titles. But a part of me would have liked it better if maybe they just still had to work their way back up. But here we are, and Miami Sweetie is back in title contention. So we get to see twins versus twins again. And yep, this is where we're at. So hopefully Chaos and Kona will definitely beat them another time and just keep the Fab Four on the struggle bus for a minute. I've never been a person to ever want people to stay on the struggle bus, but honestly, I just want the Fab Four to stay there. They need to stay there because they just need to learn their lesson, okay? And then another announcement that they made is that in 2 weeks we will see the returning mother truckers, Holly Swag and Big Rig Betty, go up against Las Banditas again, Sylvia Sanchez and Vivian Rivera. So I am excited to see that. So after they made that announcement, they showed more backstage footage of the mother truckers, getting themselves, of course, being fresh out of jail and hanging up their clothes on, a clothesline, which is something I hadn't seen in so long. Oh my God. Like a clothesline in the locker room. Like that is just some major, Southern vibes right there. Or country vibes too. So Holly Swag was angry. She was just like, look, I am so sick of all these girls, locking us up and everything. Like she was a hot-headed mama back there yelling at her mom saying, like, I don't want to go back to jail. They steal your honey buns in jail. They throw me around because I'm small and all of that and da-da-da-da. And we need to get this match together. But Big Rig Betty, being the wise woman that she is, and the wise mother that she is, she was able to, get Holly Swag to calm down and say, look, you ain't gonna get nothing done being hot-headed. We have to go in here and ask David McLean for this match so we can get ourselves situated and back, in our groove and stuff. And then that's where Holly Swag actually decided to calm down just a tad bit because, she was still a little bit hot-headed. And was really like passionate about getting this match together. So this led into them, of course, getting their match against Las Banditas because they did show, during Tiki and G.I. Jane's match, how they got involved in the brawl that happened with the tag team champions and Miami Sweet Heat and Las Banditas. So this is how all of that took place. So this was really interesting. So Kat, how did you feel about this backstage segment with the mother truckers?
The fact that Holly was saying about being small, somebody who's also really small, it's always a joke. Like if some altercations might happen, I'm a little person, I probably get flung a little bit. I can't lie. And so I understood that, but also sometimes a hot head doesn't always work, and so while I get being upset. I've been there. I've been upset about things, some things out of my control, some things in my control. But the best way is you beat them sometimes. Use your smarts. You have to use your smarts in this regard. They already had a lot of stuff happen, even with the fact that they got in jail and then they got put back in jail because they didn't do their end of the bargain with Sofia Lopez. And so, because you already have these like scenarios happening, you got to play it smart now. You want to win, obviously, but anger is not going to work in the situation. Clearly, it hasn't worked already. I feel like this is a situation Holly kind of needs to listen to her mom and be like, moms, we don't know everything, but sometimes we know a little something, something. Sometimes we know best for your child, not all times, but a lot of times we say these things out of experience, out of situations. You don't want your kid to deal with you had to deal with it, or whatever the case may be. And so I think in this regard, she needs to listen to her mom. But it was nice to kind of see it, I guess, a different thing, because we've been seeing little shoots of it, like with the last match they had, where she was clearly the more aggressive one of the two. And so we've been seeing little spurts of it. But I think in this regard, while I totally think it is a valid thing to be upset about, It's very valid. Also, sometimes anger is not always the best option. Sometimes you have to beat them with being smart. And so it was good to see that in regards to like kind of see some insight into that, but also this might be a situation she might need to take her mother's advice and relax a little bit.
Yeah, you do have to relax a little bit because even though I can get pretty hot-headed myself, but sometimes whenever I see a situation like that, I kind of like see my sister, who's 8 years younger than me. Like she is very hot-headed in that way. Like she really is about that action, and sometimes it really does take me, or sometimes it takes my sister, or not my sister, my mom, to get her to calm down and really realize that you just can't go in hot-headed all the time, because that will actually put you in a lot of danger, in most cases. So you can't just go in there just ready to just pop off all the time. And it seems like Holly Swag still has a lot of lessons to learn when it comes to that. But thankfully, her mom is there to sort of reel her in, so she can channel that anger in a healthy way, especially in the ring. So it's really good, to see that relationship sort of blossom in that way. And plus, it's just really good to see them not in jail, because watching them get arrested last season was trash. Okay. And then to watch him get arrested again was trash some more. So I'm just like, no. Okay. Like, I'm so glad they got out of jail. A part of me still wonders how they got out of jail, because I know they couldn't have called Sophia Lopez again. Because she's the reason why they had to go back. But I'm just like, I'm just glad that they're out of jail. Honestly. Like, that's just all I care about at this point. Um, I'm glad that my campaign to free the mother truckers was listened to, and they freed them. So that's all that matters. So they got a big match coming up in 2 weeks. So yeah. After that, we had another backstage segment involving Team Exile with Ice Cold. And Ice Cold had a new haircut. And I was just like, okay, girl, I see you. And it wasn't like sort of like the short little bob, like the pixie cut that she had last season. It was more so like a shave type of deal. And I was like, okay, I like that. That's really cool. And Genesis and Exodus were questioning, her loyalty to them, because they said that she was giving them the cold shoulder, which gives off the impression, I guess, maybe she just wasn't talking to them, or maybe she was just acting different. But she told them, like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm good if you guys are good. And then they said, yeah, we're good. And they sort of brushed past her, and shoulder bumped her as they walked out. So that still gives off the impression that maybe there might be some dissension in Team Exile in that way. But I thought that was just really interesting how that happened. I was just like, it was all good just last season. And now it's not. Like, what happened? But yeah, so after that, they proceeded to also recap more of Princess Aussie's desires to be the champion. And then on commentary, they mentioned, Steven and David mentioned that she did not want to take the opportunity from Tormenta, which further proves that she was still on a mission and not afraid to fight whoever she needed to fight to get the title, because she could have whined and cried and was all like, no, I just want to fight Penelope. But she was like, nope, I'm going to fight whoever to get to what I want. And Princess Aussie was definitely on that mission, and I appreciated that. But Katrina, how do you feel about the dissension between Team Exile and Ice Cold?
One, yay to the haircut. I mean, I wouldn't go that short, but I like when a person can really make a cute little snazzy haircut. I'm like, okay. I actually think the picture, which we will get to when we put the thing up, the exile, she kind of Janice kind of, got the new hair too. I was like, okay, sis, I'm loving everybody coming in the season just fresh. I love it. But this, while I understand questioning, they have to remember how Ice Cold came in the first place, and I think that's something they're forgetting. Ice Cold came in already, like, just kind of trying to find a place to do stuff, find a place to fit in. And so it's not like she was came in super loyal from the very beginning. And then, it's questionable. She kind of already came in with questionable intentions. And I feel like you're supposed to know better. The whole premise of your group is that you guys were the ladies who people casted aside. And so you should already have your guard up a little bit. And so I was a little surprised by that, because I'm like, if my Hosoka was still here, would you have been asking this question? And I don't know if that means stuff is falling apart again because she's not here. But I feel like, why are we surprised about Ice Cold? She was moving her way around group to group last season. Like, she was in a lot of groups last year, and there were things she was doing that was a little bit side eyeing. You kind of had to be like, I don't know, sis, this don't look good. Like, I don't know if I want to have you as a friend necessarily. It's one of those situations like, if this is a friend, well, God, yeah, like, how would you do as like an enemy or something? And so I was surprised in that regard that they seemed concerned, because I'm like, were you not already on guard about this? You should have been. From last season, you should have been. And granted, to be fair, the last couple of matches, Ice Cold seemed to be in alliance with that. But you have to always question a person who can move from group to group with no problem, no type of sadness, no type of loyalty to anybody. You have to already be on your guard about that. And so I was a little surprised that they wasn't already on it. I'm just like, if you was worried about her being on, not being loyal and giving the cold shoulder, I guess, pun to her name, Ice Cold, um, wouldn't you guys, like, why would you egg it on by like bumping into her? If it's somebody I'm kind of feeling funny about, wouldn't that throw some fire on that? Like, wouldn't that throw gasoline on the problem? Why would you, like, I don't have to do anything yet, but I'm gonna watch you. But I would have been watching already. And I'm nicer than most people, but I also usually like to say, people kind of show you who they are. I feel like she already shown them that. Like, why are we surprised? And so I was more like, you guys are part of Exile. You're supposed to know how this works. Like, why are you even questioning this? Why is this a surprise to you? She jumped into your group after 3 other groups or so. Like, you guys were like the next group she joined. It wasn't even like you guys were her first choice. She was trying to get in where she fit in. I feel like, if anything, they should have already been on the guard with this. And so that surprised me a bit. But maybe she's not. Maybe she's having a day. We all get them. We all get a bad day. We're not our best selves, not our best move. And maybe it's not as drastic as I'm thinking. But also, I'm a firm believer people show you who you are and who they are. And so, like, you should have already been on your guard with her, because she's kind of already shown you she's not necessarily loyal, because she has bounced from team to team to team.
You are absolutely right, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I low key forgot about it because it had been so long. But yeah, Ice Cold really was jumping from team to team because before she was with Exile, I got scared for a second. Before she was with Exile, she was with G.I. Jane and the disciplinarian. And it's just like, with the way that she hops from team to team like that, it's just kind of like, you do have to question her loyalty and where it actually lies. Or it, like, is she just doing this for the sake of, attention? Is she doing this just to get by? Or does she really feel like she really does belong with Exile? Because honestly, I always felt like her with Exile was just a little bit of a disconnect, or a little bit of a, like, it just wasn't working for me, because it's just like, you have Exile and all they do is just sort of just like to fight and destroy women, right? But then you have Ice Cold. It's like she fights and all of the above, but I don't necessarily think that her intent is to just outright destroy people. So I feel like maybe she's just sort of acting out and pretending to be something that she isn't, because you could go back to when we first was introduced to Ice Cold. Like, she told us her story, of where she came from and what she had to overcome. And it's just like, how can we root against you when you've been through this specific thing? And it's just like, maybe she's just, hiding behind this angry exterior to hide really what's inside, which might be something a little bit more tender. Um and maybe she is just looking for a sense of belonging. But here again, I feel like maybe she's another person that really does need to stand on her own 2 feet for a while and not just run up behind Exile all the time, because Exile is a pretty good tag team on their own. Like, they really do, you know, they stand 10 toes down for each other, in what their mission is. So maybe she just doesn't need to be, with them, and she just needs to figure out who she is first. But all of this, of course, leads into our next match, which was the third match on the card, which was Exile with Ice Cold going up against the returning Jessie Jones and Americana. Now, of course, it had been a minute since we had seen Jessie Jones and Americana, because Jessie got injured by the Heavy Metal Sisters in a brawl, and Americana, of course, wanted to get back at them, for destroying her son's tablet, and then they, of course, knocked Jessie Jones out of commission with her ankle. Well, not her ankle. Was it her ankle or was it her knee? I can't really. Or is it her leg? Either way, she got knocked out of action, and we didn't see her towards the end of season 1, but now she is back, and this was really a hard hitting, tag team match where it started with Americana going up against Exodus, and they were both trading wrist locks between each other, but then of course Americana used her background in gymnastics and sort of used a cartwheel to maneuver out of it and reverse the wrist locks. And throughout this match you kind of saw how much better technically Americana has gotten. Like, she's definitely been in the lab and working on her submissions and working on a lot of her tag team work with Jessie Jones as she fought her way back. But of course, Genesis and Exodus were still being as rough and tumble as we know and vicious as we know them to be. Like, it was really tough in some places where Genesis was actually locking Americana into a straight jacket submission. Exile had a reverse leg sweep, onto Americana. But every time Americana had the opportunity, she utilized her tag team partner, Jessie Jones. And Jessie was being real rough and tumble too. She actually hit, I believe it was Exodus, with a hip attack that I'm more than sure would make Rikishi proud, and all of the above. And they were just getting real rough too. But where the miscommunication happened was where Jessie Jones had a cover onto one of the members of Exile and tried to use the ropes to do it. And Americana didn't like that, and she took Jessie Jones's foot off the rope, and Jessie Jones didn't like that. So in the midst of them fussing back and forth at each other over the way that they were going to win the match, um Exile tried to take advantage of it, but then they wound up hitting each other in the midst of it. And then after all of that, there was even more miscommunication. And then Exile wound up pulling the dirty win with the ropes, the same way Jessie Jones was going to, and they wound up winning. So Team Exile won this match, and Jessie Jones and Americana are on the struggle bus again when it comes to their communication, because Jessie is trying to win by any means necessary, and Americana is still trying to be the sweet American apple pie girl that we know her to be and not win in that way. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and just the chemistry that Jessie Jones and Americana had up until that one point?
It might be just, they were already kind of semi-struggling before. They were cool, and then there was like that weird period that they was clearly some miscommunication. It was a thing with Americana's son, popping in, and so there's already some of that lingering stuff from before. I don't know if, while I do agree with you that I think Americana clearly tightened up some things, and it's not necessarily tightened up, but maybe just added more moves or more things to use in her arsenal. This is probably a situation that was already brewing from previously, because they were already kind of struggling with communication. It is not often we've seen Exile, at least the two of them, kind of have an issue unless Ice Cold was involved. They usually was pretty on it when it came to how they work together. But we've been seeing Jessie and Americana kind of on the like, I don't know, like I don't know if this is your best. And so I don't know if they had like a conversation beforehand. And clearly, because there was two very different approaches of trying to win the match, which is what clearly wound up being the problem, that they might have needed to have some conversation going in. And we're not even sure if there was ever any conversation from the last time we had some kind of miscommunication with them, with the whole situation with Americana's son. And it was just, I felt like there was no point. There was a conversation. There was you know, coming to like an agreement or any of that. And I feel like a lot of that going into this season was still very prevalent in the way they were communicating. Everybody unfortunately doesn't always work, where if you don't have a conversation beforehand, your communication is good enough that at least we'll get this done and then we can do whatever we need to do with afterwards. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with that with everybody or most people. And so it's unfortunate, but I do think if they're going to continue to team together, unless this is going to blow up until it's them against each other, which I'm hoping not, then they probably need to have some conversations and kind of figure out how they want to progress as a team, because it's definitely given vibes that two very different pages, and that will probably be a problem if they continue to go that route without having conversation, without kind of having a meeting of the minds of where we want to go as a tag team if they're staying together. So I think that's something they probably should do. Because you don't want it to be whereas now all of a sudden they got too much discord that it's one of they're fighting each other instead, which unfortunately happens with a lot of tag teams in wrestling in general. And so we don't want to see that, and so hopefully they get it together by the next time we see them in the ring together.
Yeah, you're right. And the thing that makes me saddest about this is it's just like if that's your partner and if you're as close as, you say that you are, of course, Jessie Jones has had Americana and Levi at her house slash ranch slash farm, and they've done things together. You would think that after all this time they would be on the same page. But as it turns out, in this match, it really looked like they're not even on the same page. It looks like they're in two totally different books on different sides of the Barnes and Noble. And it's just like, yo, how did this happen? Like, how did this happen? How is it that Jessie Jones is now okay with just winning by any means necessary when she doesn't necessarily have to? Like, it's just kind of like, why is this happening? And it just frustrates me. And then on top of that, it was our first time seeing them back this season. And then they wind up, losing in this way. It's like, you really hate to see it because they were doing so well on the back end throughout the match before that moment. But then, of course, Exile took advantage of that and then they wound up winning. So, I mean, you really hate to see tag teams, fall. Well, I won't say they've fallen completely apart, sort of fall away with their communication in that way. But hopefully they can fix it and make it better because I just don't like, I like them as a team and I don't necessarily want them to break up. But if that's what's going on and if we get like a heated rivalry from it, then I'm not going to be too sad about it either. Um, because I'm weird like that. I just like, I mean, hey, if y'all want to fight, then I'm not going to stop y'all. Like, I'm just going to watch it happen. um, I love unity with women, of course, but at the same time, if they're going to fight, then let them fight. So maybe that's just where this is going to go because we haven't really seen Americana have like a heated rivalry since she's come to WoW. So we just have to wait and see what happens with that. So, in the meantime, in between time, we look backstage again and we see the fabulous Lana Star and Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, have it out a little bit. They hash it out and talk about how Sophia, told Lana that a triple threat match was just not in the deal. Like, why didn't you tell me that this was what was going on? But then Lana was like, she already agreed to a match with Tormenta, but they should be okay with Penelope Pink winning either way. But Sophia just wasn't hearing it. And she was just like, she was like, you and I might agree on a lot of things, but this was something that we did not agree on. And then she stormed off away from her own locker room, I guess to prepare for the main event and the entrance or whatnot. And Lana was just kind of just staring off into the distance, looking kind of, mad or disgusted or whatever. But yeah, this was just a really heated exchange between these two. And I just still feel like there's something more that they're just not telling us. So, Katrina, how do you feel about, this unholy alliance between Sophia and Lana? And is it even falling apart before it even came together?
I already thought it was falling apart for when we talked in the first episode of the season. I said, like, at the end of the day, Sophia Lopez is a businesswoman. She's a lawyer, but lawyers usually know how to think about like all the options here. I do think this was a relationship of convenience. I do not see it lasting long. I would truly be surprised that by the end of the season, there's still a thing. I would really be surprised by that. I feel like Lana, while it might seem like she's being cordial, it seems like they're working together. You cannot trust the person that's in charge of a group like the Fab Four. I feel like that's not a person you should want to go in trusting. Could people have a change of heart? Of course they can. Do you buy that from somebody like Alana? I don't think so. And so I feel like if anything, this might just be one of maybe if we could be beneficial to each other. And the fact that there's already a little bit of discord is already telling me I do not give it the rest of the season. Like I will be really truly surprised if they're still together. I will be like, oh, excuse me. Like I will personally make Lana like you know what, Lana, my bad. My bad. I will personally apologize to Lana if I feel, well, virtually, but I will apologize if I feel like this will work and she'll surprise me and actually be one for the girls. But I feel like the girl she is for is the Fab Four. And so I don't really see this lasting part of it. And I do think we're already seeing the tension because it's there. I think this is just a relationship that of convenience. What can we get out of each other? Would this help us, you know, keep things in line? Maybe they will help do something to make sure Princess Aussie don't keep the title. Because Sophia's person was in that match as well. Tormenta was in that match, and so was Penelope Pink. Two people who were, Lana and Sophia. So it's very possible that maybe they're just again trying to kind of work things from behind the scenes as much in their favor as possible.
Yeah, like when you said that, like that's kind of what I was thinking about. I was trying to make it make sense as to how Tormenta could benefit from this match with Penelope, or how Penelope could benefit with this match with Tormenta, with Princess Aussie in the middle of it, because of course she doesn't have anybody doing business bidding for her. Like she's all on her own. And then it's just, I was just wondering, like, how is that going to make sense? Like how can they make that work? But it just seems like right now it's already falling apart before it can even come together, because now they're disagreeing with each other over the idea that the match was or wasn't supposed to be a triple threat. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is it? Like, are y'all hiding something from us? Like, what's the deal? But and you're right. You can't really trust Lana Star as far as you could throw her. And I know I throw shaded the Fab Four a lot, but that's just the truth. Like somebody like her who is willing to do any and everything, as we will get to keep, titles on her mantle and everything, as a former WoW World Champion herself, it's just like that woman is desperate. And she is willing to cut whatever deal is necessary to remain at the top. But it seems like it's low key, like not benefiting her at this point. So it's just kind of like what I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I'm just spinning my wheels. I don't know. But either way, we have a main event to get to. We have a main event to get to, baby. So the main event was, of course, the triple threat match that we were just discussing between Tormenta, Princess Aussie, and Penelope Pink for the WoW World Championship. And this of course is a very high stakes match because everybody is gunning for the title. Penelope Pink has held this title for more than a year. And this is where I'll probably give, the most credit to Penelope Pink in this episode, and probably on this show period. Or at least this iteration of the show period. Penelope Pink has been an amazing champion. Pause for the gasp. Um, she's been an amazing champion outside of the fact that she be cheating sometimes. She still, is an amazing champion. She is so athletic, she's fierce, and she has all the charisma to be a champion anywhere, when it comes to wrestling, period. But definitely when it comes to WoW, with her being a champion as she was, and the type of matches that she was having when she was on the episode, because there was a minute where we weren't seeing her a whole lot. um it was just like she was doing an amazing job, and I do have to give her credit. From when she won the title at LA Comic-Con and we saw her win that title in that gauntlet, all the way up until now, she has done an amazing job outside of the cheating. So that's about where the credit ends. So this match was really good. Tormenta came to the ring with a mariachi band. I believe on commentary they said that these were the mariachi divas, and that she brought them in from Mexico. So shout out to that band that came through WoW and actually performed Tormenta to the ring. That was really cool and full of grandeur. Like, I love it when stuff like that is done. It reminds me of the time Andrade El Idolo was in NXT and he had a mariachi band play him out there, and I was just like, oh, that's real cool. Like, I like that. Like, I love stuff like that. So big ups to the mariachi divas for playing Tormenta out, like the international sensation that she is. That was fantastic. But then of course you had the regular entrances of Princess Aussie and Penelope Pink. They got everything situated, and once all the smoke had cleared, it was time to fight. And Penelope Pink kept yelling that this was her title over and over again. And This match was moving at a very frenetic pace. It was really hard to take notes for this match, because Penelope, of course, left the ring and rolled back into the ring, just to play mind games. Because, of course, Princess Aussie and Tormenta were going to gun for her first, seeing as she's a champion. But she was like, nah, y'all ain't going to get me like that. Like, I'm going to move and dart in and out or whatever, being just sneaky like she always is. And then you had, Tormenta and all of each other, all of them attacking each other with leg sweeps and strikes over and over again. Then you had Princess Aussie hitting a clothesline and a back suplex, and then she had a pin onto Penelope Pink, but then Tormenta broke it up. Then after that, you had Penelope Pink hit a flatliner from the top rope, and then excuse me, and then Princess Aussie hit a double drop kick from the top rope as Penelope and Tormenta were punching on each other and distracted. Then Tormenta hit a German suplex as Penelope Pink lifted Princess Aussie onto her shoulders. And that was one of the most impressive parts of this entire match, was just seeing the strength of Tormenta on display, hitting basically a double suplex onto both of these women like, yo, like it was just really amazing. Then you had Tormenta lifting up Penelope Pink at one point, but then of course Penelope raked her eyes, and then Princess Aussie hit her cutter from down under to Penelope, but then she kicked out. Then Penelope went for her Karana from the apron of the ring, but then Tormenta caught her and then ran her head against the barricade into the audience. And I feel like the two most dangerous places you could ever be in wrestling is the NXT parking lot and the WoW barricades, because stuff be happening in both of those places to where you can run into something and get hurt somehow, or something gets injured, and it's just insane. So after Tormenta ducked a buzzsaw kick from Princess Aussie, she lifted Princess Aussie up for an electric chair, but then Aussie punched Tormenta's head and then hit a sunset flip pin onto Tormenta and wound up winning the WoW World Championship. Let that sink in for a minute. Princess Aussie is now the new WoW World Champion. But, and this has to come with a but, and I'm so sorry because we're going to gush about this after we talk about what happened. But she won the title. But seeing as Lana Starr and Sophia Lopez were on commentary, biting back and forth at each other, once the count was made and Princess Aussie had won the title, freaking Lana Starr took the title away from David McLean on the commentary desk, and her and Penelope Pink ran away and snuck out of the WoW arena, stealing that moment away from Princess Aussie. This pissed me off, and I hate to curse, guys, but this really pissed me off because I'm sitting here like, yo, why would you do that to her? Like, that is just the most desperate and ugliest thing you can ever do to somebody who has accomplished something that great. You wouldn't want anybody stealing titles from your girls, from Vicky or, Miami Sweet Heat or Penelope. So why would you do that to somebody else? That was just so ugly to me, because that was Princess Aussie's moment that she actively worked for, even after Penelope Pink used the title and hit her across the head with it in their one-on-one match. And she won this match fair and square in a triple threat. Of course, when it's a triple threat, anybody can get pinned and you can lose the title. She won that match fair and square. So the idea that the fabulous Lana Starr would stoop that low as she was squatting, to steal that title away, which is absolutely ridiculous, and it pissed me off. And I'm just like, girl, you do absolutely too much, and I'm gonna need for you to stop. Like, I low-key wanted Princess Aussie to just grab her, like chase her and grab her by her hair and just be like, look, give me my title back. But she was so, I guess, shocked from what had happened, like she just didn't know or wasn't aware of what was going on. But I'm just like, dang, you stole that girl's moment away from her. You are ridiculous. You are an op. Like, it's just ridiculous, and I just hated it. But David McClain came in the ring and he vowed to fix it for Princess Aussie, and he lifted up her hand in the ring as the new champion, because that is something that can't nobody take away from her. She fought for it, she earned it, she beat Tormenta, she covered her, and here's the picture that she was able to take. I guess they somehow or another found either a title or the title or whatever, but she has the title now, and she is the new WoW World Champion. And nobody can take that away from her. She earned it. She absolutely earned it. And kudos to both women that she fought, Penelope and Tormenta, for giving it a great go. But at the end of the day, Princess Aussie is the new champion, and this is a new season. And I just didn't expect for a new champion to be crowned this soon. But here we are. And it's Princess Aussie. And I'm just so happy because, well, I'll tell why. But Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the ending of it and just where we are now?
Hey, Randy. Triple threat matches are always a bit weird for me, and it's
Not because I don't like them necessarily. I always feel like it literally could be you lose a belt and it wasn't because of you. And that's always like the about triple threat title matches is like you can be the person who didn't even take the pin but you lost the belt. And I feel like maybe that's what Lana was like off the fact that Penelope wasn't the one that was pinned, but it was also a contract that you guys all signed. I just feel like if you maybe make it a way that maybe it would have been a one-on-one separately, one-on-one, and not have a triple threat. But the unfortunate part about triple threats, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And unfortunately, with that being said, the last time they wrestled from season one, I believe the question was asked, I believe I said, was Penelope fighting in a way that said that she was a little bit worried. Um, but then you had two this time. You had Tormenta, who clearly shown, like previously, just how well she is. But in that regard, especially when she suplexed both of them. Personally, if I'm getting suplexed, I'm probably going to be out for the rest of the match. But, she suplexed both of them and they were still going. Not me, but, they were still going. That speaks to, how well they are. But then you also had, again, Princess Aussie, who's already kind of going in this, taking this very seriously. She's been saying on WoW, also on social media, that she wanted this championship. And I feel like that's a good mindset to have when you want to have the title. You want the top prize of the promotion. And she did. And this time it was really no kind of weird little things happening, like unfortunately what happened the last time she wrestled her a few weeks ago. And so I'm happy for her, and I know again my beef isn't as my beef isn't as yours is with Penelope. I know your beef's a little different, but it just makes me allude to when she won the title at LA Comic Con and how, she won that kind of on her own. No interference, no weird stuff. So we know she can do it. We know that she has that in her. And whenever she really had to have her, matches, she delivered. I just think in this regard, her being kind of outside of that little moment that changed the course of her not being champion, um, is the reason, partially. I think the other half of it is, again, Princess Aussie kind of came in with, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to get. And I think she went in with that mindset and it made it very easy for her to go in. And so knowing just, how we've, been cheering her on since the beginning, since we first saw her, we was like, oh, she's definitely somebody to watch. We've been cheering her on, but also just to put this back up there, but just how she even is just supportive of us. And I say like this in both watching this, but also as a person, that this could have happened to a better person. And wow, I feel like this could not happen to a better person. She has, good vibes. She has good ring work. She's a little different than the rest of the superheroes in the promotion, but she also has drive that clearly made her champion. And I think, like, I cannot wait to see what she does in her title reign. I can't wait to see what matches she has because she's already given us amazing matches. But I can't wait to see now how she do this as champion. I'm hoping she come back with some new gear. Kind of just gotta stunt him a little bit, just a little bit stunting. You know, you're already gorgeous as it is, nice red hair and everything, but stunting them a little bit more. You gotta stunt them a little more. You have to do it. You know, Fab Four was coming in glasses, jackets, all types of every week. Stunt on them. Come in with that belt and stunt. Show people you are the champion. You are the top queen of WoW. I'm really happy for her. Truly could not happen to a better person. And I just again, and maybe it's a little bit extra. Like I said, she's just so supportive in like all aspects, truly. But I hope, you know, we just get some really dope matches going forward. So it's like losers, you know, some people sore losers do weird stuff, and I think that's what Lana did. She was being a sore loser, but clearly, you know, unfortunately, Penelope's reign has come to an end. Now, would it means that magically she can make up another rematch for Penelope after this? Maybe. You know, I feel like Lana always has some kind of plan up her sleeve, but as of right now, it's Princess Aussie's time. It's a new dawn. It's a new reign. And I cannot absolutely wait. Like I said, it couldn't have happened to a better superhero to become champion. And I'm just, again, I did mention earlier, I wonder if this now puts her on the radar of the beast because she never lost the title and that might be a problem. But otherwise, I cannot wait to see what she does as the champion.
Yeah, and then when you think about her WoW journey, like from the beginning, like Princess Aussie, had to fight to figure out, what her self-worth was, and it's just like her self-worth, was sort of like wrapped in the magic of the sticks, right? And it was just like these magical sticks that she had, from her native Australia where she was from. And so it's just kind of like she had to figure out, who she was outside of, the darkness that was sprinkled over her by Siren the Voodoo Doll and Holiday and them. And after she found out who she was and found out that the strength lived within her, she's sort of been on this journey of finding herself and being the best person that she could possibly be in ring and just outside of the ring, period. And it's abundantly clear that she has definitely, found herself and found her groove as a wrestler. She's definitely improved her game. She's made new friends in Candy Crush and all of the above. She has fought the biggest bullies and gotten into the faces of the biggest bullies, which was Penelope Pink and the Fab Four, challenged them, beat Vicky Lynn, almost beat Penelope Pink until she cheated, and then actually wound up taking her title in this aspect. And of course, Lana Starr could come out of the woodworks and be like, you didn't pin Penelope, so it doesn't count. But whatever. It's triple threat rules, so it definitely does count. And it's just like Princess Aussie is an amazing person, and not even just an amazing person in ring and on the show, but just in real life. Like, she has just been the sweetest person, the most supportive person, of us in the past and the present, and it's just so amazing that this has happened for her in this, iteration of WoW and in this season of WoW. And clearly she's worked really hard in WoW and outside of WoW, in her wrestling career to get to this point, to be on this top television show that represents, the strength of women in wrestling, and now she gets to be the face of that. That is a big freaking deal, like in the midst of all of this amazing wrestling going on, you are one of the new, stars and the new pioneers in terms of women's wrestling now, and you are the WoW world champion. Like, that is a big freaking deal. Then on top of that, here again, you stood up to the biggest bullies in all of WoW. The Fab Four is probably reeling right now because they ain't got no gold. I used to pray for times like this. They ain't got no gold. Like, all of the Fab Four ain't got no gold. Vicky Lynn ain't got no gold. The Carlson twins don't have no gold, even though they're trying to gun for it again, and I hope they lose. And now Penelope Pink, my worst enemy, does not have any gold anymore either. And I've never been so happy in all my life. I feel like Princess Aussie and the Tonga twins should just throw a party right now because all of them collectively have stood up to the Fab Four and won and knocked them off of their perch. Like, we're living in an amazing time, like in women's wrestling. Like, this is amazing. Like, WoW is under new management and it's not the Fab Four. Like, I just I just, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you have a party, ladies. Just invite us too, so we can, a little something, something. But yes, I agree. Everything you said. Just sometimes you gotta knock the bully down. And I again could have happened to a nicer person. I guess I cannot wait to see what she does. I guess I hope she comes back next week just stunting, already stunt on the police. And again, I don't even have the beef that you have with them, but stunt on them. I feel like it is deserved. They were coming in talking about they were the best, blah blah blah, how they had all of these things. It's okay to knock them down a peg. It's okay. I'm with it. I'm with it. But I'm very happy for her. And I'm just excited. I feel like she's going to give us something, like, it's going to be some kind of promo. I feel like that you have to let her do that next week, so I can't wait. Well, not now, it's this week, but I can't wait to see what we get from her. Like I said, I'm just truly excited of all the opportunities and options we can get from her as champion. I feel like she's going to even go even more harder because she's champion.
Yes, long may the princess reign over WoW women of wrestling. She is, of course, the new WoW world champion, and that is how the episode ended. So, of course, can we just show the picture one more time before we go? Just pop it up there. Yes, ma'am. She is the new WoW world champion, and long may she reign forever. Yes, yes, yes. So, of course, we've reached the end of our time together. Of course, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting Steph and Cat Talk Wow. Of course, this is the third episode. So, of course, next week we will be back to talk about the next episode because we got some championship stuff brewing, of course, between the Tonga Twins and Miami Sweet Heat, and of course, more matches that will be announced soon. So, of course, thank you guys just so much for supporting us, as we find our way through new territory and just continuing to be the light in professional wrestling as media members and using our voices for good. So, Katrina, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You can follow me, on most social media platforms and Cat We Trust, Threads, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram is three, as I refuse to call Twitter X. As for what I have going on, I will have a new interview soon, actually, bringing back a returning guest as well. And I'm doing something a little different because Girly loves Halloween, as anybody who knows me knows very well. Halloween is year round for me. The horror movies never stop. So I'm finally doing some kind of Spookytober thing happening on my channel, and so it'll be different things going towards the month of October. So it should be cool. So definitely make sure to join me. Probably be some gaming, which I don't do too often anymore, but some gaming is gonna be happening. I'm gonna have some collabs with some people in the wrestling media space as well, and maybe even a couple of movie things happening. So that's pretty cool. My first time doing an October thing in general, which is crazy since October Halloween is my favorite holiday. So you think I would have done this already, but so please make sure to check that out on the channel. And as always, catch me and Steph on Mondays to talk WoW, and me and Shay on Thursdays to talk NXT.
Absolutely. So much amazing stuff going on. And of course, no, you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter and Threads at Queen Steph Hardy. Follow the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. And of course, check out all of my new episodes that I've had posted because I did do a lot of interviews. I have an interview with wrestling starlet Alexis Littlefoot, the big flexer, AJ the Visionary, and Chids from Wrestling is Too Much Fun. That happened this past Saturday, so please check that interview out. And of course, check out my interview with the Suplex Assassin and reigning MLW World Heavyweight Champion Alex Kane. Please be on the lookout for that. And just continue to support us, with this amazing platform that we've built together. There's no one else I'd rather do this with. I say that a lot, but I mean it from the bottom of my soul. This is Steph and Cat Talk Wow, because of course we are always going to talk about women's wrestling and always going to love on WoW superheroes as they love on us. And also we just want to thank you guys for loving on us as well, because blessings are falling in our lap still. So we're just really grateful for that, and hopefully you'll see more of our work with Daily DDT real soon, after we finish, getting to know everything and everybody and stuff. So we just thank you guys for all the support and love that you have shown us in the past few weeks. And we just hope to continue to still be, the good in wrestling media. So of course, this has been Steph and Kat Talk Wow. And until next Monday, bye y'all.